Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the press. You will know that in just over 1 week, Bermuda will go to the polls to answer 2 questions by way of referendum. Let me first highlight that our intent to hold a comprehensive education campaign was put on hold of necessity while the courts were determining a challenge to the holding of the referendum brought by concerned parties. As a result of the court's decision that the referendum could proceed, we now wish to ensure that the public is informed of basic information through this press conference, and this information will be repeated in further town hall meetings prior to next Thursday's main poll, namely Thursday, the 16th of June at 6:30 at the Bermuda College, North Hall, Tuesday, the 21st of June at Francis Patton School, and Wednesday, the 22nd of June at Sands Secondary Middle School. The question has been asked, what is a referendum? Well, one might ask. A simple response is that a referendum is a tool to gauge the public sentiment on a particular topic. It comprises 3 parts. 1, taking a poll on the question. 2, counting of the ballots. And 3, the declaration of the results. A referendum may be binding or non-binding. A binding referendum requires that there is a legislative step that must be taken regarding the result, whereas a non-binding referendum has no such legislative requirement. For this referendum on June 23rd, it is non-binding. There are 2 questions to be answered. 1, are you in favor of same-sex marriage in Bermuda? And 2, are you in favor of same-sex civil unions in Bermuda? Let me give you a bit of background. In 2013, government included in the Human Rights Act that sexual orientation would be a protected ground for discrimination. Government did not have, as part of that amendment, same-sex marriage. Government has, however, prepared and tabled a bill entitled the Matrimonial Causes Amendment Act 2016, which, if passed by the legislature, would confirm that marriage remains exclusively a relationship between a man and a woman. This bill remains on the order paper of the House of Assembly and will be debated at the appropriate time. So questions have also been asked, what is same-sex marriage? And while we do not have a legal framework in Bermuda to respond to this question, in other jurisdictions, same-sex marriage is defined as the legal union between 2 persons of the same gender, either as a secular civil ceremony or in a religious setting. It provides any of the diverse forms of interpersonal union established in various parts of the world to form a familial bond that is recognized legally, religiously, or socially, granting the participating partners mutual conjugal rights and responsibilities. Many countries have legislated same-sex marriage, but Bermuda has no mechanism for recognizing its citizens who may have contracted such status in a foreign jurisdiction. What is a same-sex civil union? A civil union is a commitment by 2 persons, 18 years of age or over, who express their free and enlightened consent to live together and to uphold the rights and obligations that derive from that status. A civil union may only be contracted between persons who are free from any previous bond of marriage or civil union, and who in relation to each other are neither an ascendant or a descendant, nor a brother or a sister. The effects of civil union as regards the direction of the family, the exercise of parental authority, contribution towards expenses, the family residence, the family patrimony, and the compensatory allowance are the same as the effects of marriage with the necessary modifications. Why consider the topic, one might ask? Well, in May of 2015, government received a petition from certain members of the community asking that consideration be given to legislating same-sex marriage. In October of 2015, government received a petition from other members of the community asking that the existing status of marriage be left as provided in the existing legislation. In December of 2015, the Supreme Court ruled in the case of Bermuda Bread versus the Attorney General and the Minister of Home Affairs, in which the Chief Justice Kawley found that the Bermuda Immigration and Protection Act had to be read in conjunction with the Human Rights Act, which forbids the denial of services based on marital status or sexual orientation. As a result, the Department of Immigration was required to establish a policy that enabled same-sex partner of a Bermudian to reside and work in Bermuda free of immigration control. So what are the further considerations? The Constitution of Bermuda enshrines the fundamental rights and freedoms of every person, whatever his race, place of origin, political opinions, color, creed, or sex or sexual orientation, but subject to respect for the rights and freedoms of others and for the public interest, which have been confirmed by a number of enactments of the legislature. The European Convention on Human Rights declares that everyone has the right to respect for his private and family life, his home, and his correspondence. The European Convention on Human Rights applies to Bermuda. As such, this referendum will provide the government with information concerning how registered voters feel about these issues. Possible outcomes of the referendum. There are 2 questions, each requiring a yes or a no response. The outcome could be for question 1, yes, I believe in same-sex marriage in Bermuda, or 2, no, I do not believe in same-sex marriage in Bermuda. The outcome could be for question 2, 1, yes, I believe in same-sex civil unions in Bermuda, or 2, no, I do not believe in same-sex civil unions in Bermuda. You should respond to each question by answering yes or no. So there'd be a maximum of 2 marks made on your ballot paper. Results of the vote. Upon the counting of all valid ballots cast, in accordance with Section 6 of the Referendum Act 2012, a referendum question shall be taken to be answered in the affirmative, that is yes, if and only if 50% or more of the persons who are registered on the parliamentary register vote at the referendum, and B, more than 50% of the persons voting mark their ballot yes. Section 6 of the Referendum Act 2012, subsection 5, says that a referendum question shall be taken to be answered in the negative, that is no, if and only if 50% or more of the persons who are registered in the parliamentary register vote at the referendum, and B, more than 50% of the persons voting at the referendum mark their ballot no. So where do we vote? There is an advance poll for individuals who will be unable to vote in the general poll. This is being held at the Bermuda College today as well as tomorrow of June 16th. For the main referendum, the 36 constituencies, the normal electoral constituencies, will be broken into 12 regions. Each region will contain 3 constituencies. So the list below will indicate Region 1 would be constituencies 1, 2, and 3, and the polling station will be at Penno's Wharf Cruise Ship Terminal in St. George's. Region 2, constituencies 4, 5, and 6. The polling station will be at Francis Patton Primary School. Region 3, constituencies 7, 8, and 9. The polling station will be at Elliott Primary School. Region 4, constituencies 10, 11, and 12. The polling station will be at the Botanical Gardens Horticultural Hall. Region 5, constituencies 13, 14, and 15. The polling station will be at National Sports Center Pavilion. Region 6, constituencies 16, 17, and 18, the polling station will be at West Pembroke Primary School. Region 7, constituencies 19, 20, and 21, the polling station will be at the Delwood Middle School. Region 8, constituencies 22, 23, and 24, the polling station will be at the Bermuda College Student Center. Region 9, constituencies 25, 6, and 7, the polling station will be at Windreach. Region 10, constituencies 28, 9, and 30, the polling stations will be Heron Bay Primary School. Region 11, constituencies 31, 32, and 33, the polling station will be Somers Isles Lodge. And Region 12, constituencies 34, 35, and 36, the polling stations will be Somerset Primary School. In order to cast a ballot, you must have a valid government-issued photo ID, such as a driver's license, a passport, or a voter's card. The polling stations will be open from 8 a.m. and will close at 8 p.m. We encourage full participation so that we may truly gauge the public sentiment on these issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Anyone have any questions?
It wasn't on your watch, Minister, but any reaction to the fact that choosing of churches as a polling station to the Chief Justice as squash was a singularly inappropriate and insensitive decision?
Let me just say that the choosing of the polling stations came under the purview of the registry of the parliamentary registrar, and that was a choice that was made. There was concern expressed, and there had been discussion. So the Chief Justice's decision effectively allowed the venues to be changed to more appropriate venues.
What's your stance on this issue, Minister? You're voting yes or no?
My personal stance? Let me say I have no problem sharing my personal stance. However, for the purposes of today's press conference, I believe it's important that I take a very neutral perspective, because my job as the minister bringing this message is to not show any bias, but rather to put the information forward so that people can have an appreciation as to how they can consider their individual positions. I'm just hoping the information that we've provided will give sufficient impetus for people to recognize their responsibility to vote in this referendum, to be able to fully engage and to participate so that government can get an accurate view of people's opinions on this topic.
Will it announce the figures at each particular polling station afterwards?
Do you know, I believe that this is going to be conducted very similar to the manner in which the general election is conducted. So at the end of the night, the votes will be counted and the results given. That is something that would need to be confirmed with the parliamentary registrar, but I'm sure that's the way it's probably going to be.
Anyone else?
I'm not sure if it's appropriate to ask yourself. Literally, just as I was headed over to this, I had heard from someone who, I guess, has gone to the advanced polling stations and expressed some annoyance that there was an extra step of certification, some kind of certificate that was required for it, that they felt was onerous and had held them up. That may be something more to put to the parliamentary registrar.
Okay.
So.
If you wouldn't mind, I'll just ask the Attorney General to speak to that, because I'm not really familiar with any additional steps that might have to be taken, and I don't want to mislead you. Oh, to show that you're traveling. Yeah. That's standard practice. Standard practices would happen with a general election. I'm sorry, I thought you meant there was something else. But in a general election, if you are taking advantage of the advance poll, you have to have evidence that you will not be on island for the main poll. And as such, you would have to show verification by way of an air ticket or some travel itinerary that would show that you are traveling.
Last question was statement. Since this is non-binding, do you think it's a waste of time?
No, it absolutely is not a waste of time. I think that when you get issues that have been put to the government to consider, it's very important that we at least identify where the people of Bermuda stand on this issue. You will also note that in the European Union case of Oliari versus Italy, one of the decisions was effectively that people have the right to family life. However, it also had a proviso that we should consider the margin of appreciation of the population. So given that decision and not wishing to be accused of bystepping a fundamental step in the process, we've chosen to do this non-binding referendum. But no, it is not a waste of time. Thank you.